Hi, it's Jez here from Nigezza.co.uk. I'm here with another Junk Journal episode. So welcome to my series. Nearing the end, and I'm just finishing off some pages here. So I've got a cluster there to do, and I'm just going to repeat what I did on the other side by using that little sort of book plate that I've made using Stampin' Up stamp and matching punch, and I sort of pre-prepared them, and I'm going to add a butterfly. So that's a butterfly from Butterfly Wishes, which is a new stamp set that I've got recently, which matches the butterfly duet punch that we've got, which I think is great for my junk journal. I got it because it was a realistic butterfly, whereas the other ones that I've used from Butterfly Gala is sort of an abstract butterflies. They're not sort of real life ones, whereas this one is. So that was why I wanted that. I'm just sticking it on some coffee dyed paper there to give the vintage paper a little bit of extra strength, so that it over time it's not going to sort of rip at all or wear out. And I'm using Collall glue there, and so I'm just making sure it's well stuck, so that when there's no separation when it's punched out. And I'll get a little butterfly there as well because it's a duet punch, so they're always handy to have in my stash. So I'll put that to one side, and then I need the circle, which I've previously done before doing those out of coffee dyed paper, and I need, of course, a word. And so I have these words that I've done on my computer. Just print them off. I did those ones on just white copy paper, and then I coffee dyed them, and I've since printed them on already coffee dyed paper, and then I'm just going to stick it all together to make my cluster. I have, of course, got to distress it up a bit, so I'm getting there some soft suede, I think that is, it might be crumb cake, and I'm just putting some ink around everything so it looks old and worn and tobacco stained, and just adding some there to the butterfly to put on. And I need to go around the word as well, and this is where I always get ink over my hands because it's quite a small piece of paper there, and adding a little bit extra to that circle, and then just going over with the brush so that it's properly all sort of old and blended in. I want it to look a bit more like the other one. And then I'm going to take some black soot and define the edges of the butterfly in the black soot so that it stands out a bit more. And I'm obviously doing that around other things. So then I'm just rubbing off my sponge so that I can use it again in the colour. So just sticking all those together with my Collall glue, which I've put in that small little applicator pot. It's funny, the little things that excite you, and I just really quite like it in that little pot. Makes it much more controllable to come out, and makes my glue go further. So I do tend to use a little bit more glue than I need when I'm gluing. And then that's ready to stick on the page, and that'll be that page complete. So it's just all these little bits that are sort of going through to finish off. So that's that. And then I think, actually it needs something else. So of course, doily to the rescue. Adds a little bit of doily there. There is a doily in the centre of the page, so that goes really well. And I think that finishes that page off really well. I'm not a less is more person normally. I tend to throw everything at the page, but I managed to resist on this one and decide that the printing and the coffee stained sort of did it. So now I've got to finish off this page. I've got to do a pocket to match the bookplate pocket that I did on the other side. So I'm just chopping up this page. I want to have that row of poppies, cut out the big one because it's a little pocket, I don't want a big one dominating it. So just chopping it down to get that nice row. It's a little bit too tall, so need to chop the bottom of it off as well. And sort of making it about 3 inches. I think it says 7 centimetres there on that trimmer. And then cutting a bit off because it's 6 inches wide and the page isn't quite 6 inches wide. And then checking, and then we need to distress that as well with the inks. So I'm getting a script punch out so that I can put some script all the way around it and make it look like the other one, because I've done that on the other page. So I want to cover it entirely, so I'm doing it on a block and not in my hand. Sometimes I do it holding it in my hand so I can just get partial prints. But on this one I wanted all of it all over. So doing that and then getting my sponge again and sponging all the way around the edges. And then I'll put some on the inside, just in case you get a little sneak peek of the underside of the pocket when you're putting things in and out. I wanted it to look more distressed. So that's that. Some of these pattern papers I have coffee dyed, but not this one. So that's ready now to stick in. So I'm going to glue around the 3 sides, and I've decided not to use my Collall. I've recently bought some art glitter glue, so I thought let's give it a go. Everybody raves about it, says it's the best glue ever, so I thought I'd have a go. And I bought one of them metal tips as well, which I quite like, to get a fine line. So in that goes. A little bit of wiggle room you get there, I think, just to make sure that it's up to the edge of that page. And then we need to turn our attention to tags. So I've got some paper there, but I have a break, have a think, and so there's a tag I've made. So I'm going to show you how I made the other one. So I had this bit of coffee dyed paper from that collection. It was just plain paper. So I've just taken, I think it's about a 3-inch strip along the short side of the paper, and then I've cut it in half for these tags. And then I've done some of the music paper. I've used my ripping tool ruler there to cut. I've just done it on the 3 sides so that the bottom of the tag is straight, and that's the bit that's going to go in and out of the pocket. So I felt that was better to be straight. So they are just paper that I've used that I'm going to stick together. So I'm just distressing the edges. So it's not as sort of stiff as some of the other tags, but it's stiff enough. And I quite liked the design on the paper is really subtle to have as the bit for the journaling. And I quite liked the fact that the music was the wrong way round on it. And I had some random die cuts of leaves on my table, which I was able to decorate with. So here I am using that little doily again as a stencil. I really like that, and it's sort of pearlised, so actually I can use it quite often because it doesn't get clogged up with ink because it's pearlised, and it does sort of rub off a bit. So that's that, and I only had one of those die cuts, so for this one I cut some leaves with a punch. I'm looking for them, and as ever I kind of lose things. So I wanted a butterfly as well, so I am going to stamp the butterfly on that bit of paper and take it out. So I've got a little bit of a butterfly theme going on, and it will all sort of tie in, and it sort of matches that sort of colour. I'm not 100% happy with using this particular sheet. After sort of looking at it, I thought, but I've had to go with it because I've put it in. But I maybe wouldn't have chosen it if I did it again. I'd maybe think about that. It might grow on me. and I can always cover it in sort of different things when I start journaling on it, so it won't show up quite so much, or I can put other things in that match it, and then I'll be happier. Need to cut it down in order to be able to get it with the punch to punch out. And there we go. And then I need to get the leaves to go underneath. So I'm not sure what we'll do. Yeah, found my leaf punch. Getting some green card to cut it out with, to put it on the back, and then it matches the other tag quite nicely. So there we go. I've cut one out there, put it under, and then I'm just going to cut a second one out there so that it's a bit more elongated. I could have cut another die cut out, but they don't have to be exact, so I thought it was quite nice to have a little bit of something different. The same but different, I quite like that. And then we're just going to add some book page there. So it's from the Vintage Dictionary. Just dress that up and stick that down on the tag. And then, of course, the tag needs a tab. So I'm very fortunate to have that Stampin' Up! Tab punch that a lot of people have. It's now retired, but it's a great tab punch, and you can make it with other punches. I have sort of made my own by getting a circle and cutting a bit out. That kind of works, but it's so quick and so easy to just use a punch when you've got it. I would like, there's a stamp that goes with it as well, which I quite like, but haven't managed to acquire that yet. I've got close, but haven't quite got it. So there we go. And I believe, there's a little butterfly there that needs to go on. And then we just need the tab, and I'm looking for it because I knew I'd punched one, but it's run away. Just run away, can't find it. Where are you, little tab? So never mind, we'll cut another one. So there you can see how I've done it. So I'm just going to stick a bit of music paper onto some coffee dyed paper so that it's a bit stiffer, because it's a tab and it's gonna have a lot of pulling in and out, so you want it to have some strength in it. So I don't quite know what I'm looking for now. I'm just gonna stick that on. Checking, that's what I was looking for, the punch. So I'm just, how you could lose a punch that size, I don't know. So I'm just going to glue that on to the back of that music paper. And the Collall glue gives it a little bit of extra strength as well, and that's why I really like that glue. It once it's dry, it just gets a bit stiffer, and so you've got something substantial to grab hold of. So I do eventually find the tab, and then I realised that actually what I did was that music paper, I just folded a bit in half and glued it down. I didn't actually glue it onto coffee dyed paper, but it kind of gives it the same effect. So I decided on this one to do something a bit different and just stamp that floral pattern there. I really like that. It's one of my favourite stamps. Don't quite know why, but it is. It's my favourite Stampin' Up! Stamp set, which is why it's still in my stash, because I do still use it because I just love it so much. So gluing those two bits together so they're ready for the tab to go on the top, and giving it a little bit more distress where I'd missed some out, and gluing that down. So you glue the whole of the tab and then you just glue a little bit where the curve bit is to the tab, and then on the other side, and then just needs a little bit of distressing. Then I remember I hadn't actually inked the edges, so I'm trying to go in there and ink the edges, and it popped off, so a little bit of a bonus so I could go round, and then just hoping that I can prise it open to stick it back on. You do have a little bit of time. It does grab quite quick, that colour, so and that in fact has grabbed quite quick, but I still managed just to get it open enough to stick it back down. It wouldn't have been the end of the world. I could have made another, but there we go. And I do like the fact that junk journals are not perfection, and if it's on a bit wonky, then so be it, don't matter. And that's it, done. So that's me 2 tags done for that page. And you can see I've found an envelope that's made with similar coloured paper. It's not the same paper, and I've just shoved that in, and I'm going to add a bit of ribbon across there, and I've stamped some letters on it, well, script on it, putting it on there, and I'm going to use some Fabitac to glue it down so that it adheres well. It just gives it so it sort of ties in with the other side on the page, breaks up that paper a bit. Add butterfly because they're a theme that's running through this page. It's actually running through a lot of the book, the butterfly, actually. I'm a fan of butterflies. Don't like moths, isn't that weird? Right, now I'm like, don't like the ribbon, the lace on the other page, so I'm going to do a bit of that ribbon to match, so you can actually see how I've done it. So it's a bit of a, it's like a cotton ribbon, a bit like canvas, and there, find me tab eventually. So I'm just going to do a little bit of stamping. I've got early espresso there to stamp over the piece of ribbon to give it a little bit of something, and then of course I need to go over with some ink to distress it, make it a little bit more vintage looking. Ready to glue on. Use some Fabitac again to stick it down. Oh, I don't think I did go over it with, maybe I thought the ink was enough of aging. And then it needs a butterfly, so remembering I had an extra butterfly there, I punch that out, get 2 for 1, and give that a bit of a distress before I put it on, getting sure the edges are standing out. When it goes on the page, a bit of early espresso, that will make it stand out. Bit less. Oh, and I'm going to use the little one as well. Give that little bit of distress. Why not? It's there. Why not use it? Waste not, want not. Well, it won't be wasted. We'll just go in my stash and pulled out at some point. And then we'll stick that on the page. A little bit off camera there. Do apologise. And then we just need to, that envelope, I've just thought, it's one that I've done before, 6x6 paper, that's been, I think I did that with ink as opposed to coffee dyed it, and it holds in place with the paper clip, and it just needs something to decorate the top of it, so let's have a butterfly. Can't have enough butterflies, can you? So, like I've done before, gonna stick a bit of music paper down to the coffee dyed paper. So that paper, I printed it with words and I did them in columns, and there's actually quite a lot of wasted space, but of course we don't waste anything, we're crafters, so sort of all the bits in between I've utilised and used in in other ways. And I don't know what I was checking there. Oh, I think I was checking whether or not I would want, so I've done 2, so I'm going to put one on the other side of the envelope as well. So I've stamped them in Early Espresso, so they're a little bit darker than the others. I really like that colour. I think it stands out. And I'm stamping that script because the butterfly punch cuts out 2 butterflies, so the other one will have a bit of script on it as well, so it's ready for use either on this page or another page. So we've got our 4 butterflies there, so we just need to go over. I'm just rubbing off the colour of that sponge so that I can use it in another colour. So there we go, that's just an old diary, which I've may as well use as scrap. And yeah, so I'm going in with Vintage Photo there, which is a lighter brown than the brown that was already on it. So I don't have sponges for every colour. I think this works quite well, so then we just do dabbing on those little ones. And oh, I found another one. May as well dab that whilst I was about it. And then we'll get those stuck on. But I need to put something else on it. Can't just stick a butterfly on it. So making a bit of space there. Ready to stick something on there. So looking in my little pot, what else could I put on there? A little book plate. Yep, that looks good. So, and it needs a circle. So that's a 1 3/8 of an inch scallop circle, which is great for fitting inside that punch. Another punch that's retired from Stampin' Up, but another one that I keep. I tend to keep most of my punches because they're quick and easy. Prefer them to dies, quick and easy, and I do like quick and easy. I don't know what I'm looking for here. I'm looking for something and can't find it clearly. Clue, Jez? What are you looking for? Don't know. I think this was a bit that I was planning on. Oh, I was looking for the doily. Couldn't find it, so I've just used that flower bit instead. I think a doily would have been better, but most of it gets covered up, so it really doesn't matter. So that was one I created with some dies. It was a project that I filmed and used for a bit, and then waste not, want not, use it as a stencil. So that's all ready now to get stuck on there, so it forms a nice decoration for that page. And then the back side of the envelope, or the front of the envelope, this is the back side really, will be decorated for the other page. So it's a bit of a buy one, you get one free, and a lot of journaling space on the inside of the envelope because it's not stuck down, and I quite like that as an idea. And if later on I want to have it as an envelope, I can always stick it down if I want to actually put something in it, sort of decisions that are made later. So this was a coloured paper clip, and that's an alcohol marker, and I just coloured it in that way. So what am I doing now? I think I'm thinking, blank page, needs something on it. That's me, isn't it? Can't leave it blank. I have stamped on the other side. I should have really got the poppy ones out, but gone a little bit different. Just put a little bit of something on there so that it's not just plain. It'll probably get journaled over it, but I just like to fill a blank space. There we go. Is that it, Jez? Are you done? Oh, no, clearly not. So now we can put that envelope over with its clipped, clip it in place, and then add me tags, and that's another one done. So nearly done. Quite happy about that. So next time we've got a couple more pages in an envelope there to decorate, so that'll be next time. So hope you enjoyed this. If you check out my blog, nigezza.co.uk, there'll be lots of pictures of what I've done, and we're nearly finished. So thanks again. See you soon.